entertained? Are you not entertained?
That they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
Why so serious?
But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you.
Well, I'm not gonna leave you. I want you to get mad. You gotta say, I'm a human being. God damn it! My life has value. I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Main Street. Gary Allen with you, as I am every Friday afternoon at 4 p.m. We have a great guest coming on today, and I'll talk about him in just a couple of seconds. But I wanted to make sure everybody's had a great week since the last time we had an opportunity to talk. Hope your lives are doing great, and go out there and get your COVID shots. I got my second one today, so go out and get them. And contrary to what a waitress told me the other day, they are approved by the Medical Association. They're approved by, I don't know, I can't remember the anagram for it, but nevertheless, go out there and get it. You're not only protecting yourself, but you're protecting your family, you're protecting your friends, as well as others that you may come in contact with. So go out there and get your shots, get it taken care of, no matter whether you live in this country or in Europe, wherever, please go get it done. We've got some great guests coming up in the upcoming weeks, but right now today, I want to tell you a little bit about the gentleman we have on today. You know him best as Potsie from Happy Days. But surprisingly, we're going to talk about it. Before Happy Days, he actually did play Potsie Weber about a year and a half before the show hit. We're also going to talk about his family. We're going to talk about alert drops, which is something that's very important about drowsy driving and everything else. We're just going to explore the world of Anson Williams. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Anson Williams.
I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I thought I'd be better for the opening. You know what I mean? Then I don't know that guy. I don't recognize that guy, and I thought I should have had that part. I'm kidding. Hi, great to be here.
All right, great to be here. How's the weather in California?
Ojai, California today, and it is absolutely beautiful. Yeah. It's about 67 degrees, sunny, a little bit of breeze. It's just gorgeous. Very lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, we're same thing here in Florida. Same thing here in Florida. It's just really nice. Anson, as I said, we're going to talk about alert drops. But one thing that I want that I didn't realize, my producer brought it to my attention. I read the article.
Yeah.
Your uncle or your cousin, actually, he's your cousin, I believe, right?
Well, he's my second cousin, but I've called him Uncle since I was born. He'd say, "Call me Uncle Hank."
Okay.
So I called him Uncle Hank. Yeah.
Henry Heimlich.
Yep. Excuse me?
Heimlich.
What? Liquor?
Heimlich.
How
there you go. I've given your family a new name.
My uncle. How dare you demean this man?
Well, anyway, he invented the Heimlich maneuver.
Yes, he did.
Tell us the story of how it came about and also the wonderful appearance on the Merv Griffin show.
Well, it's very interesting. Dr. Heimlich, Hank, has always been an activist, a big activist in terms of medicine. And he was influenced a lot by his wife, who was Jane Murray. She was Jane Murray, Arthur Murray's daughter, one of his twin daughters.
Oh.
And Jane was a pioneer in alternative medicine. She wrote the original book, which your doctor doesn't tell you, and was a big influence on Dr. Heimlich for alternative ways of helping people that might be easier than the surgery table, whatever. I mean, opening his mind to other ways to solve things. And he had a friend that choked to death, and slapping on the back, and he said, "This is that it lodges it in, doesn't get it out." So he started researching, and very simple cure of the maneuver, of like a certain way, a press in and it comes out. It's kind of like it's just old science. And he actually practiced. They did a lot of subject groups and all this. And anyway, but then so he created having a lot of success locally. But he and the Red Cross had a major conflict together and whatever was going on, and they didn't like him. and they refused to accept the Heimlich maneuver, and they did everything to say it's bad and keep slapping on the back. So for quite a while, he was getting regional PR on it, but not the national PR it should to save lives. So he was visiting me on the Happy Days set in the 70s, like almost the middle, not quite the middle, 73, 74. And he was frustrated. He said, this is going to save lives, and I'm getting stopped.
Yeah.
That day, that morning on the Happy Day set, there was a call from the Merv Griffin show. And I had done the show a few times before. And someone had dropped out, and they asked if I would be available that night to sing a song and be interviewed. And I thought, wow, this is naively, maybe I can get Dr. Heimlich on. We can do the Heimlich maneuver, and we can, get this out there.
Right.
And so I said, absolutely. I'll be there. I'll do it. Do the song. Do the interview. Whatever. So I talked to Hank. I said, Hank, this might be a shot. So we finished rehearsal, changed, whatever. Went down to the studio, Merv Griffin Studios. Brought Dr. Heimlich, and no Merv. And by the way, Merv Griffin was a very nice guy.
Yes,
but he was busy in meetings and whatever. So I couldn't get to him. So I rehearsed the song. They interview me. They said, yeah, but they couldn't really fit it in. They couldn't fit it in. It's not going to happen. I go, all right, at least we tried. So they take Dr. Heimlich, give him a nice seat in the audience, and the show starts. And I wasn't first up. I might have been second or third. I don't remember. But I get out there, sing my song, and then there's a break. There's a break when they take you to next to Merv to be interviewed. So I had about 90 seconds for an elevator pitch about the Heimlich maneuver. And he goes, wait a minute. He goes, I heard it. No, I read about that somewhere. And I go, yeah. And he goes, oh, yeah. And well, that was it. All of a sudden, Dick Carson, who's the director, who's Johnny Carson's brother, yes, of the Merv Griffin show, lights come up, and I'm there. And out of the blue, Merv said, Anson just told me something interesting. Is there a Dr. Heimlich in the audience? He interviews Dr. Heimlich spontaneously right there, brings him up on stage, does the maneuver on Merv, saves lives that night. The booker on the Carson show saw it. 3 weeks later, Dr. Heimlich's on the Carson show, doing it on Johnny Carson, and that was it. It became part of America. That blew it out. If it wasn't for, I don't know if it wasn't, and honestly, I don't even take credit. If Gary Marshall hadn't created Happy Days, and there wasn't a set to go on, and I didn't get on the show, and all these things came together to make the Heimlich maneuver, and to this day, saving lives every day. So Happy Days has a lot to do with the Heimlich maneuver.
Yeah, and life sometimes works like that. You're over here, and something happens over here, and it kind of comes together. It's just life works like that. You're growing up. You were a track star. I actually tried out for the
track star. That information is false.
Okay.
100%. I was a great second string football player. I was the guy. Oh. I lettered. I was like 150 some pounds or something, and I was checking out tight and defensive end. And Ron Bayless was like 230 pounds, 8 feet tall. When he got tired, they put me in. And, really. And if you look, and then they'd always play back the films, and there'd be this, and we were in white, white and blue,
right?
And you'd see this black back on a uniform, number 80. That was me, because I kept getting slammed to the dirt with running fullbacks. Slam. So I had the darkest back jersey ever. But you needed a letter to get girls,
Oh yeah.
So,
oh yeah.
To this day, things hurt. To this day, things from high school football.
I can relate to it. I was a baseball player in high school,
right?
And they kept wondering, "Oh, Gary's a pretty good athlete. Why doesn't he try out for the football team?" And I kept just pushing. I just kept pushing it off and pushing it off. And finally, my mom and dad met the Coach Soltrick at Hollywood Hills High School in Hollywood, Florida, where I grew up.
Yeah.
And he said, why won't Gary, I keep asking him to come out for football. He said, look, Gary doesn't talk about this, but Gary's half brother is Mike Curtis of the Baltimore Colts. and it would be like you having Johnny Unitas' son as your quarterback with Johnny Unitas as a father. He doesn't talk about it. He doesn't bring it up. He'll stick to baseball. And his coach finally came to me. He said, now I understand. Your brother's a great football player. I said, yeah, and I don't need that following me. I'll play baseball. Michael never played baseball.
Yeah,
so
right.
I'll play baseball. Yeah. So, that's where it was. All right. So you got the Goyles, which you always did. You've always been a handsome fellow. I'm jealous as all get out of you for that. But as time went on, when did singing become a big part of your life? Because that's what you started to do.
Yes.
You were gravitating towards singing in some of the spots. Talk about that, just getting spots to be able to sing.
Well, it's very interesting. You keep things quiet because it's not really cool to say you really like Broadway shows or in high school in the 60s.
Yeah.
So you but I always had this just this draw toward actually musical comedy, right? And then I don't know. When I was kicked out of the house at 18 for wanting to go into show business, knowing nobody, I mean nothing. It was like go out and be a physicist without a college education. That's about your odds, right?
Right.
But I started taking singing lessons, and I started singing talent nights. Back then in Los Angeles, they had all these talent nights, and it would be on slow nights at hotel bars and things, because they figure all these would-be singers, they'd bring in their friends, and they'd make more money on a slow night. So it was the hotel, it was the Little Club, it was a couple of others. So, and you go there and you bring your sheet music, and there's this, grouchy piano player, and sit there, and then you'd sing, and you'd be bad, and then hopefully the next night you get better, and then from there I started auditioning, and I standing in on equity lines, and finally getting an apprentice job in summer stock, and one thing led to the other. Got my equity card. Basically, yeah, music started me because then I was in quite a few musicals, like stage musicals. One thing led to the other. And then what happened with Happy Days, actually, when we started Happy Days, they didn't pay like they do today.
No.
Anywhere near the salaries. It's like, seriously, it was pretty pathetic. I mean, it was good, but not great. But it's not, in other words, if the show ended, you don't really have a career. There's nothing that's ongoing. I mean, so it was like an okay check. And always being entrepreneurial, I've always been one to see what I have, not what I don't have. I've always been there in life. There's plenty of stuff you don't look in front of you and you go, oh, this is bad, that's bad. I always say what's good. I always look at what do I have. Instead of bitching, what can I move forward with? So and everyone's bitching about this and money, and I'm going, well, we're on a national television show. Lots of people are looking at us. I knew David Cassidy sorta, because Partridge Family just ended, and he was telling me that he did so much better off the show than on the show doing music. And it was the last year of the Brady Bunch, the first year of Happy Days, and they were going all over the world with the Brady Bunch singing group, right? And I thought, and then I remembered Ozzie and Harriet and Ricky Nelson, and I thought, well, I sing. What if I convinced Gary Marshall to put a band on the show in Arnold's? Yeah. And I did. Early morning, I saw Gary, and I said, Gary, he goes, I don't have time right now. I'm busy. I don't have time right now. I'm busy. I go, only take a minute. He's okay. You got a minute. Walk with me. Walk with me. I'm walking with him. I got 60 seconds to sell me. 60, literally. I said, Gary, you got girls on the show. You got cars on the show. You need a band at Arnold's. He goes, wait. Whoa. He stopped, went, a band on Richie Pop. You guys could be, he goes, I used to be a drummer. A band. And he goes, I go, what do you do? I sing. Are you good? I said, I'm okay. But you're good. I go, yeah, I'm good. He goes, there's a show coming up with a fraternity. I can fit. I like it. Go talk to Bobby, pick a song. he starts walking. I go, I did it. I'm going to be on national television, sing. And because in my head, I'm going, I'll sing. I'll get a record deal. I'll start getting booked off the show in concerts and whatever, and make some money. So, it was very practical thinking here. So,
well, you know, Anson, with that story you're telling, I'm going to have you now work as my agent to get me gigs on national shows, to get my own talk show like on CNN, and they'll only give you a minute, but you'll sell it.
Oh, I'll do it for you, man. I'll do it. But I didn't even let me finish the story.
No,
so
please.
So I'm walking, and I hear in the distance, but you're singing to a bulldog like Elvis. I go, excuse me? Yeah, Elvis. He sang a song to a bulldog on Ed Sullivan. He goes, and he says, and I believe you're good. He says, I believe you're good. I don't have time to listen. I believe you're good. If you're good, I get laughs. If you're bad, I get laughs. You're singing to a bulldog. And there I was. So what do? I go and I pick them all shook up. It's the same song that Elvis sang so there I am on national television the first time and going, well, bless my soul, what's wrong with me? I'm itching like a man in a fuzzy tree. Go down, and the dog going, and I go down to the dog. It's like, but he liked it, got big ratings. He liked it, said, I like the singing. So about every third show, I got to sing a song. I got to pick it. I was in charge of it. And then I got signed by Chelsea Records, which is David Cassidy's label. I was making $1,200 a week on Happy Days and $17,000 a night doing concerts. So it's like it all. And what I'm saying is, I saw opportunity in front of me. And I tell this to people, whatever in your life, wherever in your life, whatever you're doing, there's opportunity for success. Look, see what you have, not what you don't have.
Right.
And that's an example.
You're a glass half full kind of a guy. I like that because that's how I am too.
Yeah.
It's been tough since I went from performing in Las Vegas to coming to Florida to do talk shows. It's financially been really stressful. I want to talk about something.
There's opportunity there.
Yeah, there is. And I continue to move forward. That's the only thing I know how to do. I want to talk about something that's very close to you. And I think your Uncle Henry had something to do with this, if I'm not being too incorrect. Alert drops. Talk about that. And the reason alert drops came about, folks, is because this man nearly lost his life when you fell asleep or were drowsy while you were driving. There you go. Alert drops.
Here I am. I fell asleep at the wheel. What happened was, well, again, Dr. Heimlich and I were very, very close for years. And I was directing, decades ago, I was directing Slap Maxwell. And we were using the Palmdale area for a desert. It was supposedly to be Texas, whatever. Anyway, it was a very hot day, very difficult day of directing. And I'm driving home. I was very dehydrated and exhausted, and I literally blacked out. Fell asleep, woke up quickly, and thank God, didn't hurt myself, didn't hurt anyone else, but I could have. Scared the heck out of me. And I talked to Dr. Heimlich about it, and he said, Anson, keep cut up lemons in your car whenever you're in an exhausted situation. And he knew the science of citric acid and sour lemon. He said, it will hit the lingual nerve on top of your tongue, and the reflex reaction of the body is adrenaline. Boop, you're up, you're alert, your body waking the body, nothing in your system. He said, it's no different than going to the doctor when they check your reflexes. They'll check your arms, your knees. Same thing, reflex action of tongue and brain, same thing. So I did that for years, no more problem. Then I got it, but through the years, I got into the product business. I love creating problem solvers. And I started at first, I saw the problem of drowsy driving, which is catastrophic in this country. And there's more tragedies than drunk or medicated combined.
Yeah.
There's about 200 million drowsy drivers a year. One out of five admit to falling asleep. It's a terrible, catastrophic problem. But beyond that, we found that exhaustion is a terrible problem in this country. Whether it's you're studying all night, or a tired mom, or you're at work, or whatever, you need to wake up. You need to be alert for many, many reasons. So I called Dr. Heimlich and I said, instead of biting into lemon, can we create a superpowered lemon in a spray drop that just sprays on top of your tongue, hit the lingual nerve? And he got very excited, and he said, not only will it save millions of more lives in the Heimlich maneuver, he said it's much more powerful than just biting into lemon. So we created alert drops. which is a very simple, it's literally a superpowered lemon spray that you just right on your tongue.
And they can get it at alertdrops.com, right?
Go to alertdrops.com. It's alertdrops.com. It gives you all the science behind it, all the credibility behind it. We've been honored by the United States Congress, California State Senate, City of LA. Parents Magazine did their own investigation on the product with their own medical team, and they call it Genius Fix for drowsy moments. Forbes Magazine. I mean, we've gotten more accolades and research in this, and Alert Drops has helped so many people. It has stopped so many unnecessary tragedies. Because the last thing, and that's me, and in fact, Dr. Heimlich passed away, gosh, a little over 3 years ago, but a couple of weeks before he passed, I had my last conversation. He made me promise to get Alert Drops out because he knew the lives it will save. And so today, we just sent during the middle of COVID, we sent thousands. We donated thousands to the front care workers, our heroes, because they were working 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
And you take all this energy drinks stuff away, and we donated this natural product to them, and it's been very gratifying. How much we helped, a heroic frontline worker. So anyway, everyone should go to alertdrops.com, check it out. You want your husband to come home safe. You want your kid to come home safe. I love it when you recommend it to a friend, and I've heard this many times, that friend calling you back going, thank you. You don't know what this meant to us, having Alert Drops. You don't know what this meant to us. Yeah. Thank you. So instead of getting a call about tragedy, you're getting a call about avoiding tragedy.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm pretty damn passionate about it.
We're talking to Anson Williams from Happy Days, and we're talking about Alert Drops. Gary Allen here with you on Main Street, as we are every Friday at 4 p.m. And through Anson, who's become my new manager, is going to talk me into getting a job at CNN at some point or another. I have a feeling I've made a friend now for the rest of my life through you. I just do. I just really do. It's amazing. I have the stats in front of me. Over 250,000 drivers fall asleep every day at the wheel, or are drowsy at the wheel, and 54% of them say they actually fall asleep. Yeah. Yes. That is why there are more tragedies, more fatalities than drunk driving and medicated driving combined. It's just everyone you see, don't drive drunk. No one talks about this, drowsy driving, which is twice the problem, Yeah. But here, it's a very, very simple cure. It's very, very old science that Dr. Heimlich knew. It's sensory connection to tongue and brain, reflex reaction, adrenaline, nothing in your system, nothing to screw up your sleep pattern, no bad ingredients going in it wakes you up, and it's not meant for you to keep going. It's meant for you to get home. Yeah. Yeah. But I have a feeling that this COVID situation, and also the fact that the society we live in, and it because I know showbiz. I've been on the sets of Hill Street Blues when I did that and St. Elsewhere. You work 16, 17-hour days. You're driving home, and you're tired, you're drowsy, you're everything. And the world we live in, people are not getting enough sleep. No. To begin with. In fact, Deadline, a couple of years ago, there was a front page by Anita Bush, award-winning journalist, front page on Deadline, which is the variety for show business, right? About exhaustion in the film industry, and it was about what they're doing to crews. And all of a sudden, there's a picture of Alert Drops in an article recommending it. So just coincidentally, Alert Drops. We're on numerous sets. Well, even the Happy Days cast, we have a picture of that, and Tom will put it up here in a minute. Even the guys from Happy Days have endorsed your product. Oh yeah, Ron, Don, Marion. Oh yeah, there we are. Look at that. Yeah, there's Marion. Yeah, and there's Barbra Streisand's sister, Donnie, from Little House. Oh my gosh, everybody's there. Yes, and the young lady in green I recognize because she's on The Young and the Restless.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's good friends. Well, she works with Eric Braden, who I know from my days of
Right.
living in Los Angeles. But
Right.
I mean, what I love about, I didn't know that much about you, but what I love about you is that you take these situations, opportunities, as you say, and you make the very best out of them. And instead of worrying about the money going into your pocket, you're giving it to people. You're caring. You're a caring, compassionate person. And I think that's wonderful. I adore that in someone, because they accuse people in show business, being these self-centered people. And I say, hey, not everybody's a Kardashian, for God's sakes.
Oh no. Well, that's a whole other. The reality program is a whole other thing.
Oh, please.
But,
they're not even reality. They're all worked out. They're all mapped out. The biggest ripoff is Pawn Stars. And I know those guys because I lived in Las Vegas. When did, in 1972, 71 or 72,
yeah,
you were on American, what was it? American, Love American Style. And that is where you played Potsie Weber for the first time.
A lot of people don't realize that Happy Days had 2 pilots. The first one was with Marion Ross was in it, Ron was in it, I was in it. Fonzie wasn't created, Ralph wasn't created. There was a different Mr. C. Harold Gould played Mr. Cunningham. And it was more like a Summer of 42. It's a much softer show. And excellent pilot, directed by Gary Nelson. They said, for sure it's going to go on the air, for sure. Well, it didn't. So I went back to playing the concerned boyfriend parts, But a year later, but they aired it on Love American Style. You get some of their money back, So it was a place to be able to, because Love American Style is usually 10-minute little vignettes.
Yes.
This was, half hour. But a year later, American Graffiti came out.
That's what my next question to you. Yes.
In fact, I auditioned for the same part Ron got. In the show, with Lucas and all that. And Grease came out and was a big hit on Broadway. So all of a sudden there was this niche now of 50s, and ABC in their wisdom, they were thinking, didn't we have a pilot? Didn't we have something? So they talked to Gary, let's do it again, but let's make it more like Graffiti. And that's when they recreated the show, put an edge to it, brought Fonzie in, fact, actually Don Most auditioned for Potsie, and he's my best friend now.
Yeah.
And he was so good, they created Ralph Mal for him. They literally created the character for him.
Yeah.
And but this time, it's so funny because this time, Ron and we didn't just get the parts, we had to screen test. They thought we might be too old. We had a screen test. We had a screen test and earn our parts again. And by the way, going back to the first pilot, I saved John Travolta's career. Do you know that? John Travolta owes me a huge amount of payback. Huge.
Is John aware of it, Anson?
I don't know. Well, the way I learned about this was from Mary Lou Henner, his very good friend.
Yes.
And we met. And she goes. You do realize what you did for John? I go, no. He said he was in the National Company of Greece and he's playing Dewey, which is kind of he was the one that go, what's that playing on the radio? Kind of like a naive kind of, and they thought, he might be a good Potsie. He auditioned for Potsie for the first one. I saved his career by getting the part. Saved his career. Saved his career. Could you imagine? Yeah. No, instead he went on the ABC list. And he auditioned for Cotter. Barbarino, much better part for John Travolta. Right? Much better, sexier, cooler part. So, John, if you're out there, you owe this guy. I got that part. I saved your butt.
He's Anson Williams. Send a check to Anson Williams Incorporated. Hey, real quick question, because I used to live off of La Brea and where it turned into Franklin, at the top of the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turns in there. Did they build, is that malt shop still on that corner of La Brea and Hollywood Boulevard? Is it still there?
I'm so away from Hollywood. I don't know, but I do know this.
Yeah.
Since COVID, because things have closed down like crazy. like crazy. So I don't know. I wish it probably's not still there, even though that would be so wonderful to have that.
Yeah,
You know?
I used to go into that grocery store there, and that's where I met Pierce Bronson and who eventually became Bond, James Bond. He was there with his late
Pierce
wife at the
Brosnan's a
time.
great guy.
Oh, he is. He's a really nice guy, and
Great guy.
he was one of my favorite Bonds. But I happen to like this new guy who's now going to be the old guy, getting out of there. But tell the story. It's a really interesting. Henry, by the way, Henry and I and Jay Leno have the same problem. We're all dyslexic. Really
Are you
bad.
really?
Yes.
That's congratulations. That's a huge challenge.
Oh, believe me, cold readings were like murder for me. When I auditioned at the Carnegie Mellon by accident, and Stephen Boschko was the guy who encouraged me to audition. When I got to LA, I had jobs on Hill Street and everything else. But when he was my professor at Carnegie Mellon, by accident, I actually went to visit somebody, and he was auditioning. He didn't get it. I got it. And doing cold readings, as you know, Henry even will admit that doing cold readings is it's almost, it drives you crazy. Oh, it is. And people don't understand that. I can't even spell dyslexia. But Leno, real quick, sent me a birthday card, not a couple of years ago. And I called him up. I said, Jay, I can't even read this thing. He said, put it up to a mirror. You'll get it. You know, so
Right,
yeah. You know, you get it too. Henry's character wasn't even supposed to be a mainstay of the show. He was only supposed to be there 1 or 2 episodes, I think, and he was supposed to be gone. What happened during that time period that he was there? The connection happened that they said, hey, we got to have this guy around.
Well, it's so funny because he was like a like 6 out of 13 episode, you know, little character. But Henry is a genius actor with genius instincts. He created that. He took a cartoon character and created Fonzie. He created all the nuances. Hey, he created all the details of that character. And he had very little to do. I think 4 lines in the pilot or something. And yet his brilliance just connected with the world. And all of a sudden, all focus went to him because of who he is, the character, the charisma. And all of a sudden it became very clear. There's the focus of the show. And it's so funny because through the years, people would ask me, oh God, were you jealous of Henry? I go, are you kidding me? He bought me a house. Are you crazy? I'm hanging on his coattails going, hey, keep going. Hey,
yeah.
I'm going, thank God for Henry.
Yes. Yeah. And what would you like, Henry, for lunch? And I'll bring it to you. I'll bring it to your trailer.
In his dressing room, politician, whatever. Just stay on the show, dude. Just stay on the show. Yeah.
Talk about some of the guests that you've had on there. For instance, I had worked with Pat Morita, and he was the original, the late Pat Morita. The first time I worked with him was in Miami on a show called Carib with Stacy Keach, Carl Franklin, and Robert Mandan. And I did some 5 and under stuff because when I grew up in South Florida, my best friend's mother was a casting director. So I got a lot of stuff.
You got the one-day parts.
Yeah, I got the 5 and under crap, which
exactly
put money in my pocket and impress the girls. This face doesn't, but the money does.
Don't underestimate yourself. Okay.
But
well, oh God. Well, Pat. I mean, we had a connection. It was very fortunate too with Pat. We had so many conversations, but then I was directing a show in Hawaii, and a 2-parter, and he was the guest star, and I was able to direct Pat, and we were able to. This is after Karate Kid, and we were just able to hang, and I love this man, his heart, his kindness, but yet, he had his demons. He had his demons, and honestly, from his background, it's amazing he could psychologically survive what he went through.
Yeah,
I mean, he was in the internment camps in World War II. He had, I don't know if it was polio, but he was on his back for years. Unbelievable what he went through. But he did have an awful functional alcohol problem. And believe it or not, but here's Pat. A lot of people don't know this. Finally, his liver failed. It got to the point where his liver failed. He was going to die if he didn't get a new liver. And he's in the hospital, and they said, listen, if you promise to stop drinking, we will, and he said, no. He said, no. And he literally gave that kidney to a person. He literally said, "No, I'm good. Don't save me, save him."
Yeah.
And that's
that's the things that people don't know about people in the business, that they think everybody is this, that, or the other. Also, too, a gentleman who was very important to my career getting anywhere, thanks to Bud Friedman, introduced me to Robin, Mr. Nanu himself, Robin Williams. Talk about, I mean, from what I understand, because I saw Donnie on a show, he said from the minute he showed up to the minute he left, we never stopped laughing.
This was an amazing, talk about divine intervention. There's a bigger story to this. On Mondays, we started off as a one-camera show, like a movie, right? And then a year and a half in, we switched to 3-camera live audience. Switched the whole show.
Yeah.
And that's when we became a phenomenon, by the way. That's when we became #1 in the world. Anyway, on Mondays, you would read a script that was the following week, so the writers could take notes and rewrite it. And then you read a script that you're shooting that week, that they already rewritten. So we're in there, and there's a script called Mork for Mork. And the whole reason it was even written was because of Scotty Marshall, Gary's son. They had just seen Star Wars, and they're walking out of the theater, and he said, and little Scotty said, "Daddy, do a Happy Days show about a Martian. Please, please do a Happy Days." And Gary, who loves this, all right. So he said, "Okay, we'll have a dream and we'll do a Martian show," right? It's Mork for Mork. So we sit there. So we're sitting there and we're reading this horrific script. Horrific. Like, oh, what the? I mean, unreadable.
Yeah.
And Henry, who's the kindest, most respectful guy, slams the script down. "We cannot do this. No." And Gary says, calm down. We'll rewrite it. It'll be fine next week. Fine. We read the next script, which is fine. Do the show that week. Come in the next Monday. Read the script for the following week. It's fine. Read Mork for Mork. It's worse. We're going, oh my, but what do you got? Now we got to do it. Yeah. So by the way, and they hired kind of tall actor, kind of Greek, I don't even remember, to play Mork. Now, the poor guy, it's embarrassing how bad he was because it was bad. So we rehearse Monday, we rehearse Tuesday. Wednesday, we do a run through with the writers, right? Thursday's camera blocking day. There's not, it's just all mechanics. And you run through it. So by Wednesday night, you're pretty much done with rehearsal, pretty much. The guy quits Wednesday night. He quits. He walks off. I'm not doing this shit. Gary Marshall comes down. Does anybody know a funny Martian? Alma goes, there's this kid, Robin Williams. I think he was on the new Laugh-In for 6 episodes. He's good. He's this improv. He's good. Robin Williams, a funny guy. And then Ronnie Howland, Gary's sister, says, who's in casting, "Oh, yeah, I heard of him. Is he funny? Yeah, bring him in." So Thursday morning's camera blocking. Camera blocking, there's no writers. There's nothing. It's just the mechanics of getting cameras coordinated with the shot, right? For the
right.
Boring day. So I'm coming in a little late because I'm not in the first few scenes, right? So I'm an hour and a half later, I walk in. You can hear a pin drop. Every writer is on the floor. Like this. I'm going, what the hell's going on? Jerry Paris, our amazing director, comes up to me. He's a genius. He's a genius. He's a genius. I'm going, what the hell? And there's Robin Williams improving the whole damn show. Nanu on his head, improving. And the writers, literally, I'm like, they're writing the whole, and Henry's just trying to keep up with them, right? And we're in there.
Yeah.
There was a shining light on this guy. I've never, ever seen anything like this. It was like, God, this genius. So that's Friday night, we shoot it. maybe one of the best shows of television history within 24 hours.
Yeah.
And then there's 300 people. Now, the world doesn't know him at all, but those 300 people do. They're on their feet, screaming at the end of the show, when he literally screaming. It was like they wouldn't sit down. The next week, the world doesn't know who Robin Williams is. There he is on Friday night giving us little gifts, thanking us.
Yeah.
So that. And then, of course, Gary then went, oh my God. He had a pilot that he did with Pam Dauber, and he took some film, and he somehow put this little, tape together, a Mork and Mindy presentation.
Right.
Never Fred Silverman to come over to ABC. He never even went up, sent the film over, showed 13 episodes on the phone for Mork and Mindy. And that's how it happened, guys. That is how it, and then he exploded. You want to talk about godly intervention, man. Yeah. It was like, that's the story.
Yeah. We're on Main Street here. Anson Williams is my wonderful guest. Gary Allen with you, as I am every Friday at 4 p.m. Anson's my new manager, so I have to treat him real nice. It's funny. My nephew, my sister's kid, did Aladdin with him.
Right.
Scott Wanger, who was on Full House,
right,
was the original voice of Aladdin.
Oh,
and
cool.
he said, Gary, he said, they had to eventually cut. We were running out of tape. We were running out of recording stuff. We just couldn't keep. And it's the same thing on Mork and Mindy. When Jonathan Winter joined that cast, it was like those two of them, because Jonathan had been in a lot of funny places because of his craziness.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that the day that he died, the day that Robin passed from us, was one of the saddest days of my life. There is absolutely no doubt about it. But do you think that you have directed a lot of shows, and I'm going to let people know right now, you've directed things like diagnostic murders, Melrose Place, Beverly Hills 90210, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Baywatch, Liz McQuarrie, and The Secret Life of an American Teenager, L.A. Law. You've directed so many different things. How do you deal with the egos that are on those shows as a director coming in? Now, I have a friend of mine, Will Schreiner. I said to him, how do you go on Frasier and direct? He said, I make a couple suggestions and I get the hell out of the way.
Well, a sitcom's a little different than I should have stayed more in sitcom. It's a nicer life. Yeah. Film's different. I mean, you usually have many more characters, many more situations, location scenes, this scene, a lot more pressure, a lot more sophisticated. Yeah. The one gift I thank God I had was no matter what, they all knew I was in that. They all knew I had been on a hit show once. They all knew that I understood fame. In other words, I had a little bit of her hand where they're going to be a little, they're not going to, there's a bit of respect going in of, okay, this, right? So I still have my problems, but I was able, honestly, I think I made it because I was like, I didn't know I get a private conversation. I talk turkey. I would just talk turkey. Love you, respect you. I said, I know you're going through stuff. I know all this, but honestly, listen, this is what we're doing. I would just be straight, respectful, and like, please be responsible. It's like, I've been where you are, you without. So basically, by being, by not escaping it, but by addressing it in a respectful, I found very, very little problems. I've done over 300 shows and very, very, very few problems. Couple of times, which was like totally out of our hands. But other than that, and I think that's one reason too, I worked a lot. I was able to calm the waters and get the respect, keep a collaboration going, and a creative platform, and create a camaraderie where we made a better show. Yeah. And as a director, a lot of people, they play. Oh, keep the focus off you. Keep the focus on the story. We're just storytellers. The director's a storyteller.
Yeah.
And it's your job to tell the story and make and you're a psychologist too. And because you're not only dealing with actors, you're dealing with a crew of 100. Everyone better respect you, and they respect you if you know what you're doing. You know, they really respect you if you respect them. You're giving them detailed information. You understand their problems, so it's being a leader. It's an understanding leader of where they go, hey, this guy cares about me, understands my job. He understands, like, he's not, so it's fairness along with discipline. So
do you think Ron learned a lot of that too while he was doing Andy and Mayberry and all the other shows and movies he did? Because because as a director, I hear that he's very kind, he's very gracious, he's very giving of a performer.
Well, when he started directing, I mean, I wrote a film called Skyward with Bette Davis, 1980, and Ron and I exec produced it, and he directed. So we did a lot of things together early on. But he was always an amazingly talented filmmaker. People don't realize when he was 12 years old, as a civilian, he won the national award for best movie with an 8mm camera, best movie edited in the camera. Meaning you're shooting your shots, it's already edited because you shoot right. Yeah. He won the national award at 12 years old. So
I want to go back to Happy Days for a second. At one point, they were going to rename the show, and Ron stepped in, not because of his ego, but I think if I remember the story right, it was because he said, we are an ensemble cast. Not one person is more important than the other. I won't do this show if you change the name to whatever it was going to be. But I understand that it's something to do with Fonzie.
They wanted to call it, Fred Silverman wanted to call it Fonzie's Happy Days. But actually, Ron, but the real hero of that was Henry. Henry said, no. Henry said, no, we're not. He says, no. This is Happy Days. It's not fun. I am part of a cast. He refused. Yeah. Talk
about Tom and Marion as when the show eventually, like everything else, it runs its course.
Yeah.
Talk about your relationship. I know we talked about Marion before we came on the air here. This is Anson Williams, folks, in case you don't recognize that handsome face. The Gary Allen with you here on Main Street every Friday at 4 p.m. Next week, we have Rodney Allen Rippey joining us. So hope you'll do that.
He's a great.
Oh, he is. He's wonderful. He's wonderful to talk to. Talk about your relationships with the cast members when the show eventually went off the air.
What's so interesting, early on, Gary, it was very important to him to create a softball team because he said, you can't just be actors. You got to be friends. You got to be teammates. You got to do something more. And we did. We were all ex-jocks. We played all over the world, USO games and every major stadium, charity games. So we became much closer than just actors. So we were always socializing together on the show, off the show. So the show ended, but the friendships didn't end. We still got together. It was like that didn't end. It was like, so the show ended, but we're to this day, we're a phone call away. To this day, we're a text away. We're still all friends, 40 some years. We're still friends. And that's rare, very rare. And that's because of Gary. That's because of Gary, because we created a much deeper relationship than just a professional relationship, acting. We became caring friends. In fact, Don Most, God, he's my best friend, and he's like lives very close by.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna try to get Don on here, and when I do, I want to get you back as well.
Oh yeah.
I talk to Donnie. Would you please tell him, hey, Gary Allen wants you on. What are some of the wonderful benefits besides the beautiful home that you're sitting in at the moment? You have a daughter. You have maybe more than, I think you have a number of children. Isn't that the most wonderful part about life? Is that what the show gives you? The monetary part and the fame, it allows you to do things that other people aren't necessarily able to do, and you're able to give back as you do, and just have a wonderful, beautiful life.
Yeah, well, I'm very lucky. started with nothing, just a number in the world. I mean, no money, lower middle class family. But what I've learned is, when I want to tell people, you do have what's the important things you do have, or you're capable to have. It's not the fame and the money. I mean, that's fine. It's the relationships, it's family, it's friends. It's all, every cliche is true. Every cliche is true. Yeah. So, and then my feeling is about, if you're lucky enough to get a platform where, you have eyes on you.
Yeah. You there?
To pay, I think it's that's a phenomenal thing that, yes. I'm
okay.
Here. Yes.
No, you kind of clocked out for a little bit. Yeah. It's amazing. It's like my grandfather once told me, and my dad told me, real power. If you have real power, like the president of the United States, the real use of that power is not using it at all.
Exactly.
It's
not using it, it's giving it away.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, our purpose is to make other people feel powerful. Our purpose is to make other people's lives better. Our purpose is to be selfless. We're like selfless. And I have a problem. And honestly, there are so many great people in entertainment like you that give a lot. They really are. There's too huge a percentage that are so self-centered and so self-centered, and they look like they're giving a lot. They look like they're doing this great thing. Oh, look at us, we're doing this telethon for you guys. No, they do the easy. They do. It's for them. It's all for them. I want to look good. I want to be, and imagery takes you a long way in this country. Yeah. But their platforms can be used so much more if they got their head out of their butt and stop with the ego and just did the work of helping others, purely helping others, shining the light on things that should be, that can help the world, right, and not worry about the next selfie you're taking with your bikini or whatever, but be able, but really be able to go out there and really make a difference, and not try to, oh, look what I've done to save this one person's life. And there's always a story behind it. There's always something selfish behind it. It's not pure. Yeah. They don't really care. No. And yet there's a tremendous amount that do. My friends do. Donnie does. Ron does. Henry does. Yeah. They do. They walk the walk. All of them walk the walk, and all of them give more than they get. There's too huge a percentage that are just full of crap.
Yeah. I got that when I was in LA, auditioning for different parts, how quickly somebody who's supposedly a friend of yours is stabbing you in the back to get that part because they, I mean, it's just, I can only imagine what it's going to be like when this COVID is subsided enough for the production companies to start opening up even more than they are at the moment. I can imagine what that is going to be like because it has financially crippled everyone, but Anson, one question or two before we have to skedaddle.
Okay. I love that word, skedaddle.
Yes. Well, I have a tendency to use old cliche words that are no, it's part of the Jewish thing, it's like a woman the other day.
Hey, I'm 98% Ashkenazi Jew. Okay.
Oy vey. I'm Greek Jew. I'm a Greek Jew.
Yeah, Greek Jew. Well, you're one of a kind, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm great. I had a woman the other day talk about the Bible, and she says, "Oh, you Jewish people, you don't know anything about the Bible." I said, "What are you kidding me, lady?" I said, "The Old Testament was written because we were wandering around the desert for 40 years. Something had to occupy us, so we wrote the Old Testament. That was Moses." She goes, "I didn't know that." I said, "The Jews, we wrote the Bible, the New Testament, the Old Testament." I said, Jesus was a Jew. No, he was a Christian. No, he was a Jew the day he was born to the day he died. She said, I didn't know that. I said,
know that. And by the way, you know what? It really gets me. I don't mean to, but his name was never. He would if you said the name, "Hey Jesus," he wouldn't turn around because that was a Greek translation. 200 years later, his name was Yeshua Yamashiach. That was his name. He was Aramaic Jew with Aramaic Hebrew.
Yeah. He would look nothing like what the pictures are of him. And I would be interested when he does return. Someday he will. We probably won't be here. I'm always amazed at people that are so concerned that it's going to happen in the next 100 years or so. Who knows when it's going to happen? But I would be interested, like in Oh God, when the ministers are sitting around a table. Why would he pick a clerk from a store to represent God? Oh, look what I have given. It's like, and would they even know what he looks like? I mean, they'll know who he is, but it's kind of interesting. Through all of this, through your humble beginnings, living in the valley, through your marriage and your children and your success and a few ups and downs in between. Yeah. Who was Anson Williams?
God, Anson Williams is Anson William Heimlich. I changed it. I wish the maneuver was here earlier. Who am I? I'm just I'm just someone that cares a lot, feels a lot. That hopefully there was my purpose here on earth echoes to next generations that I had a bigger purpose than myself in this lifetime. That's basically it. A bigger purpose than myself that echoes on, that benefits. Because I think of Dr. Heimlich. I mean, he passed away 3 years ago, but every day he's living by saving lives. Every day. Yeah. Generations are alive because this man was alive. And I'll tell you, I'll take that over any movie star,
Yeah.
And that's with alert drops. That's what I'm trying to do too.
Alert drops. You can get. There's also a website for them, correct? Alertdrops.com.
Yeah.
And please go out there. This will save your lives as much as the COVID-19. Like I said, there it is. There's alert drops. As much as the COVID-19. I just had my second shot today. Please get this.
Take the vaccines, people. I just had my second shot too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's science, man. Don't believe it is good. It is important. Please don't question it. Do not question it. It's good.
Yes.
Get your shot.
Absolutely. Anson, you have been wonderful. Please hang on after we get off the air. I want to talk to you just for a couple minutes. Okay. I want to thank all of you out there for taking the time to join myself and my guest, Anson Williams from Happy Days, as well as a director, a father, a husband, an all-around nice guy and very handsome, which I'm very jealous of. But nevertheless, he's managed to join us. And I thank all of you out there, RB, all the guys that have tuned in with all the notes off to the side here that I can see. Thank you so much for taking the opportunity to join us. And remember, next Friday at 4 p.m., Rodney Allen Rippey will join us. And after that will be Adrian Paul from The Highlander will also be joining us on the show. Yeah, so that's why Anson's going to become my manager and help me get on CNN so I can really make some big bucks, because he'll talk him into it and it doesn't take long at all. But thank you all very much for joining us. Until next week, please take care of yourselves and each other.